Thank you all for joining us today for our regular business meeting. We've got a good-sized crowd. I think I'm going to have an idea why they're here, but it's pretty exciting news with the library study being done. Roll call.
Benson.
Here.
Brunick.
Here.
Sarda.
Here.
Hanoff.
Here.
Minor.
Here.
Mosier. Villanueva.
Present.
Weber. Mayor Schramm.
Here.
City Manager Leon.
Here.
City Attorney Denherter.
Here.
Thank you. Before you have the minutes of the work session meeting of July 22nd and regular meeting of July 22nd, what is the pleasure of the commission?
Move to approve the minutes.
Second.
That's a roll call, right? I took a week off, and I got to remember. Roll call, please. All those in favor of approving the minutes of the work session and the last regular meeting of July 22nd, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Schedule of bills, what's the pleasure of the commission?
Move to pay the bills. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the bills? Roll call.
Sarda.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Mayor Schramm.
Aye. Moving forward to the city manager's report.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the commission, public. A couple of things for you all this evening. First of all, just a reminder that tomorrow, as published at 3:30 p.m. right here, we are going to have our budget meeting. So I'll presenting some information to you relating to the budget that was dropped the end of July. So everybody is welcome to attend. I don't know that you'll have any action, but probably have some questions and feedback for us as a staff. So that'll be 3:30 tomorrow afternoon, and then you'll determine if we want to meet again another day or not. Want to ask you all, got a question from the Municipal League. They are asking cities whether or not they are interested in adopting a resolution associated with Initiative Measure 28. That's the measure that talks about reducing the sales tax on consumables with the concerns that it could impact municipalities. We do have an example. Some cities have already done that. For example, Spearfish. There's not a huge rush for that, but if that's something that the commission is or commissioners are interested in, we would put something together and put it on an agenda. So you don't necessarily have to answer me tonight if you don't have an opinion right now or you want to think about it a bit, but I don't want to go through the work of putting it, together and putting on the agenda if it's absolutely something you're not interested in pursuing. So if you just want to independently shoot me an email if we get a couple people who would consider it of that. They're also asking folks to write letters if they're interested to major newspapers or to your community's newspapers in opposition. I don't know that it's necessarily appropriate unless you want to on your own behalf to speak for the city. I think that gets confusing for people, but I may reach out to some former commissioners and see if they have a position, if they're interested in reaching out with a letter to the editor about that. Concerted effort by the Municipal League to oppose that initiated measure. Ready or not, it is Riverboat Days weekend, so staff will be focusing a lot of efforts this week on helping out the Riverboat Days Committee. So we will be helping getting barricades, getting things ready for the parade, helping where we can and how we can. Looks like the weather's going to be nice. There was a concern that Cedar Street reconstruction may be taking place, but it will not. We've spoken with the contractor. They're not going to start that until September. So parade route is safe and can go as per usual. They did have a plan B if they needed one. Reminder to the media and to you commissioners that there is a comprehensive planning meeting that you've been invited to on August 20th from 6 to 7. I believe that's at the Elks room in the Elks Lodge. So if you can join us, that's an opportunity for you to get your feedback in. There is also a steering committee meeting the next day. So we're working on attending that as a staff for those of us on the steering committee. Summer help is starting to leave us. So that's sad for a lot of reasons, because we've had a great summer and because summer is starting to dwindle. So want to make sure people are aware that the schedule at the Aquatic Center will be changing here after Riverboat Days, and we'll be working on starting to wind things down for the summer. So reminder for that. I am digging out from a pile of emails and voicemails and letters and notes and Post-its, so I will get back to you. If you've reached out to me, I'll get back to you, I promise. It just may not be today or tomorrow. So if there's any questions for me, Mayor, happy to stand for them.
Does anyone have any questions for the city manager? I have not seen any lawn chairs out on the parade route yet.
Maybe tomorrow.
It might be tomorrow.
Maybe tomorrow.
Thank you for the report. Moving forward to the public appearances section of our agenda, we do have a scheduled public appearance, which is about the library feasibility study and results. So would you please introduce yourself and say who you're with?
Can you hear me now? All right. I'm Dr. Julia Hellwig of the Government Research Bureau, and I was the principal investigator for this project on the needs assessment for the library. We can move to the next slide. I'll give you a bit of background because some of you are new since I was last here. So the Government Research Bureau is a part of the Department of Political Science at the University of South Dakota. We offer unbiased evidence-based policy analysis, strategic planning, community development, program evaluations, needs-based assessments, and so on. We offer affordable expert services. Our mission is to public service and commitment to teaching and mentoring. And so again, I was the principal investigator. I'm the previous director of the Government Research Bureau. And I hold a PhD in political science. My specialty is in methodology, survey methodology of both the elite and the general public in American politics. And I'm also a city councilor in the city of Vermillion. So previous slide, please. So just for those of you who weren't familiar, our initial contact for this project was back in October of last year, and the commission then approved it in 23 November, and we started this project in January. We worked throughout the spring to develop the protocols and the instruments. We collected data from May through June with analysis done in June and July, and here we are submitting the final report. And the final report is available, and we also have a short form that is available here to the public. It's available online, and we will also have a public presentation on the 27th at 6 p.m. at the library. So if I move rather quickly through this presentation, there will be a longer, more detailed one coming up. And so I just very quickly want to show that our study very much corresponds to the Mount Marty study that was done back in 2010. And so you can see some of their information that was general support, a lot of strengths with the library, location, helpful staff, but lacked in parking, space, and restrooms. And these are themes that came up again in this study. Next slide, please. So we did an analysis of the literature on the best practices. I don't want to go through all of them, but I want to highlight the spatial design best practices that we found. They encourage design that highlights comfort and safety, design comfortable, safe spaces for study and collaboration. Flexible layouts that allow you to create adaptable spaces for different kinds of activities and different kinds of events, and also separate areas for quiet zones versus noisy zones, so that you have various age groups, small children, youth, and adult in those different spaces. Slide, please. So while I could show you all the various pictures I took of the outside and the general public views of the library, I thought it might be most helpful to see the staff spaces here, because these are spaces that the public don't see. And these are the spaces that I would say that the staff have gone and sort of bent over backwards to create all the public spaces as flexible and as accommodating as possible, while then squeezing in both storage and themselves. That bottom space is where a lot of the book storage is for things like the book sale for the Friends of the Library. That does not have any AC or heating in there, where a lot of elderly volunteers work. And so this is what the backside looks like. You also see the staff break room, which is a windowless, small room. Next slide, please. I also want to show you some comparable libraries. So I want to note Watertown and Aberdeen that have done recent renovations or expansions, and those are libraries to look at. A lot of folks who came into the focus group pointed out that once you see a different library, that allows you to do some more comparisons, and so I brought in 2 libraries that have done so recently in South Dakota. Slide, please. All right, so now for our empirical study. So we have the methods. We did an online and printed copy survey. We did a little bit different from our original plan, but I think it ended up paying off in the end. We did postcard invitation and a reminder to every single county household. We also did further snowball outreach, including flyers and speaking about it at the library, online, social media, things like that. We offered a Spanish translated version. We had the survey organized into 4 different categories. We ended up with 1,425 respondents. I had promised the foundation and this commission that I would get 400 responses. And so I think we hit that pretty good. That's about 8% of the county's adult population, gave us a margin of error of about plus minus 2.5 percentage points. We also did focus groups. We did 3 with community leaders and the general public, 1 with Spanish-speaking leader and public, and 2 with library staff, with about 5 to 10 participants for each group. And there are some of our demographics. 72% say they hold a library card. We do have a few more women. Women are more likely to take surveys, so that was somewhat expected. 69% have children. 82% tell us that they are regular voters, which is important for this question because this might end up in an opt-out kind of question. And so there you have the demographics right there. Slide, please. Overall, people really like the library services. Customer service is great. The library materials are pretty good. Hours of operation are great. Programming, especially for children and families, great. Program for adults are also very good. The library serves an important role for introducing reading to children, informational material, access point for technology, meeting space for gatherings, and so on. Overall, there's a high satisfaction with the library programming and materials. Slide, please. So we asked one general question of all respondents, whether they lived in the city or in the county: how supportive would you be of constructing a new library? And so there you can see 35% are definitely supportive, with an additional 22% very supportive, 15% neutral, 12% somewhat supportive, and so you have 16% who are not at all supportive, meaning 84% of people are at least somewhat supportive of constructing a new library. Slide. And what people talk about is that there is a need for more space, need for more books, other materials. There's a lack of parking. I counted 27 parking spaces. And so you can imagine the overflow when you have very popular events and programming. Need for technology, access, an outdated building, lack of accommodations for groups and large events. But that said, of course, people are concerned about cost of a new library and increased taxes, as we would expect. And some folks say that the current facility is adequate. And some, and I'll talk a little bit more about this, have a little bit of a dissonance where they don't really want a new location, but they know they want something newer and bigger. And this came up in the focus groups as well. A lot of, why didn't they just put in a basement in this building? And why can't we just expand from this location? And, you know, those questions are really challenging because at the end of the day, there are things that people wish we could do, but that can't happen. Next slide, please. So we asked very pointedly, would you support a temporary increase in your property taxes and opt out for the purpose of funding a new library? And we have 28% who said definitely yes, 26%, sorry, who said definitely yes, 39% who said probably yes, 16% probably not, and 20% definitely not. And so that's 65% who are saying probably or definitely yes. And so this is certainly in favor of constructing a new library. This is very pointed about, will you pay money, put in your property taxes to do so? And so again, you have an 84% saying they're in support generally, and then this question specific to City of Yankton residents, so not those who live in the county who would not be affected. So those are not included in this part of the question. And we have some open-ended questions. Big themes that are coming out of the sort of qualitative conversations are about space, location, technology, more materials, but hoping for a location that is easy to get to. Now, most people drive their car to get there, and so it shouldn't matter too much where that location is. On the other hand, a lot of folks were cognizant of, especially children who might not be able to go wherever they would like, and so those who are walking or the houseless population who might be walking or relying on transit. And as I mentioned before, concerns about funding and taxes that go hand in hand with feeling that no change is necessary. Next slide, please. So we did those public focus groups. I put together these word clouds for you to see that they want space for people in the community. There's a strength in engagement and services. There's a desire to be mindful of varied types of patrons, including children and youth, houseless populations, older folks, groups. There's lots of different types of patrons who come into the library. They recognize the limited resources and especially the limited space. The number of times the word space came up in all of these conversations was very high. Desire for greater technology and equipment. They do encourage more feasible development. They definitely encourage more partnerships. So they encourage the commission to look through partnerships with whether it's businesses, looking for grants. Of course, we cannot all be Aberdeen and have a wonderful donor who just comes and steps in and saves the day, but that would certainly be ideal. Operational considerations, make sure it's an accessible location and accessible services, including for the immigrant community who have recently moved in. Next slide. Staff also say that they know they have wonderful services and programming, but sometimes they feel like they can't actually advertise and go as far as they want to, because if they bring in more crowds, then that experience might actually be worse for the people who come in. So if lots of people are showing up and you have limited parking and limited space, then that might actually be a poor experience. And so it's a challenge for them to want to be able to advertise and market more, even if they would have wanted to. They also noted some lack of resources and technology and equipment, and I showed you some of those spaces that they have. They also share a colored printer, for example, with the public, things like that, that make it difficult for them. Public space accessibility, challenging to accommodate everyone, including wheelchair users. If you're putting books very high up and very low down, that can make it very difficult. If you're squeezing in those shelves, that makes it very difficult. Staff spaces, lack of storage, and that emphasis on public spaces. They have done a lot of changes that I learned about over the past 50 years in that building to try to make it as large as possible and as accessible for the public as possible, but that has meant some challenges for the staff. They also noted some safety and security concerns. So things like putting in cameras or having blue light option. If anyone has a concern, you can just turn on a light so that only the staff are aware of what's going on. Next slide. So at the end of the day, high ratings for customer service and hours, strong feedback on programming, especially for children and families. Libraries are essential for reading informational sources, technology, and valuable for cultural engagement. There's a demand for more space and modern technology, but the current facility limits those varied needs. There is majority support for expansion or new construction, but there are concerns for cost and a preference for a central location. Accessibility and security issues and some need for staff amenities are some challenges. All of these results align very well with best practices. Like I said, there's a need for flexible space and expanded tech, importance of accessibility and cultural programming, just as what the literature said. But there's some cognitive dissonance for those projects, right? Like I drive my car, but I want it to be in a precise location. Or I really want this great new big modern facility, but I'm concerned about what those costs are. And so that's what I have for you, and I'm available for any questions. And again, I have a more detailed presentation coming up. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the presentation and all the research and work that went into that. Does anyone have any questions from the commission in regards to the library?
And I believe you have the 2-pager in front of you as
Yes.
well. That gives some of the even shorter of the shorter presentation.
And it has the QR code.
And it has
to
the QR
full.
code to the full report. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, moving on to any other public appearances by anyone from the public who would like to speak about something that is not on the agenda. Okay, seeing no movement. We'll move on to the consent items. Before you have 2 items on the consent agenda. What is the pleasure of the commission?
Move the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Consent agenda is approved. Moving on to old business. We do have no old business. So we'll move on to the new business section of the agenda. Item 1 is discussion on publishing, or is consideration of memorandum 24-169, which is recommending the city commission provide direction on how to publish P-card transactions in the city commission meeting minutes. And before we get to any voting discussion, I believe Commissioner, I must have said Senator Hunoff. Commissioner Hunoff has something he'd like to say.
Thank you. I just have a few minutes of comments here. I do appreciate the commissioners who agreed to put this on the agenda so we could have it discussed at an open meeting and have public input. That's important because this is an important open government issue. If there's any local government information that should be fully 100% transparent, it's the expenditure of taxpayer dollars, paying the bills. And state law, there is a state law that requires us to publish city warrants. And unlike some state laws, it's actually very clear and specific. The statute is SDCL 9-18-1. It states the governing body of each municipality shall publish within 12 business days the minutes of each meeting of the governing body, including a detailed statement of all expenditures of money. So to me, 5 key words there are publish, detailed statement, all expenditures. This practice of lumping all the P-card transactions as a single payment is being used by other cities. And it's a loophole to reduce the list of published bills, but it's a workaround that I don't believe meets the requirements of state law. An attorney, I suppose, would take the word detailed and turn it inside out and make it mean whatever they want, but I think doing that would violate the spirit of this applicable statute. And paying $101,000 to a credit card company to represent 200 P-card purchases just doesn't cut it, based on the state law. I did hear from a number of citizens who agreed that we should publish the full list of bills, as we did for about 140 years until July 8th. One gentleman who has many years of experience in organizational finance said full transparency is always the way to go. Put them all out there, and that way you've got no questions, he said. Kathy Gross says we should publish all of the bills, but she noted it either matters or it doesn't. If details about city expenditures aren't important in the legal record, why bother reporting any of them? Just put down one big number and say this is what we spent. And Kathy also said giving fewer details to save money is really a false economy. If city staff, she said, if city staff and other commissioners don't believe that, ask if they heard about the state employee who stole nearly $2 million from funds meant to help children because details were not properly managed. And you know, we hear about credit card fraud all the time, and publishing each individual transaction bolsters public confidence that city P cards are not being misused. And I don't agree with putting a price tag on the value of transparency. The figures show the cost of publishing meeting minutes has gone up $96 per month since 2020. Well, the cost of everything has gone up in the last 5 years. It's important to note, however, that newspapers do not control the cost of public notices. The line rate for public notices is set by state law, and they're considerably less than display advertising rates. I use the numbers from the packet to calculate that the cost of publishing claims in our minutes, the claims I'm talking about, not the entire meeting minutes, the claims will be roughly $2,900 this year. $2,900 is less than 1/250th of 1% of our $81 million city budget. Small price to pay for open government, 1/250th of 1% of our budget. And theoretically, publishing all city purchase transactions should motivate careful spending and efficient use of taxpayer dollars. And who can say how much we save through that? There is a human tendency to take for granted things that have always been here, but I know all of you know that the Preston-Dakotan is one of Yankton's most important assets. If none of my plea for transparency is convincing, look at the cost of publishing these city bills as an economic development investment in quality local journalism. Many cities have lost their newspapers, or they've seen drastic drop in the amount of news in their newspapers. And we're very fortunate because the Preston-Dakotan remains a high-quality newspaper, one of the best you will find, and there isn't much newspaper profit actually in public notices, but I just think we should do whatever we can, whenever we can, to support our daily newspaper. It was mentioned in a preview of this meeting that city bills are listed online in the packet on the city website. I don't believe that's the same level of exposure that you get by publishing them in a newspaper. Research has shown that newspapers have 10 times more readership than a government website. And to suggest that that's all we need evokes the phrase out of sight, out of mind. Publishing in the newspapers means they are delivered to the public in a reliable vehicle on a regular schedule. My last item here is a little research I did over the weekend. I researched the amount of bills paid with P cards by South Dakota municipalities. I reviewed the minutes from the last 2 or 3 meetings of 20 South Dakota cities, some bigger than Yankton, several similar size, and some smaller. And I paid special attention to the lists of published claims. And the results were that of those 20 cities, and I didn't include Rapid City or Sioux Falls because of their size, I thought, didn't make it a fair comparison. I did include Aberdeen, Watertown, and several others like that. Of the 20 cities, 4 had no credit card expenditures in their claims. 3 had credit card expenditures in their claim, but they totaled $1,300 or less. 11 of those 20 cities had credit card expenditures ranging from $3,500 to $13,500. And then at the top of the list was Aberdeen with $75,654. And the one meeting that we have done this, it was $100,958. So my takeaway, my point from this research is that a lot of South Dakota cities are doing this, as Lisa said, lumping P card purchases as a single payment to the company. But most of those other cities do not appear to me to have nearly as many P card transactions as Yankton. And that means a much larger share of our overall purchases will not appear in the minutes. So that's all I have for right now. Again, I appreciate you letting me have this on the agenda.
Thank you, Brian. With that, I would ask the commission for their recommendation on what we should do with this item number 1.
Mr. Mayor, there may be public comment interested in.
Correct. I was going to ask for a motion and a second, and then we would get to the.
I will move that for this meeting and meetings going forward, the city finance officer list all city purchases, including P card transactions, in the published meeting minutes.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second on that. Any discussion, further discussion from the commission on that motion?
I do have a question. So, Lisa, can you walk through what can all be on a P card? So, like, I'm sure certain employees of the city have the P card. What's the process there?
That's a good question. So that's something our credit card, P card, procurement cards as we call them, that started around 2014. So we do have an extensive internal policy on that where it's really dependent on the department head about who gets the actual P card. Generally, each employee who has a P card has to first have approval by the department head. Then after that, we do, finance will meet with them, do some training, what you can spend on, what you can't. Our general policy is, it's used to be for supplies, travel, that's a big one. We do have some vendors who their billing date is kind of odd. So for example, all of our Blue Peak bills are on my credit, on my P card for auto payment, just because it's hard to meet those timelines, stuff like that. So that's something where after each transaction is made, they are required to go on BMO Spend Dynamics, upload a receipt, code the transaction, and then have a second approval through the actual manager or department head. So there is a second level of approval there. From that, after the statement comes out, finance will then go through all those transactions, make sure they have the receipt, make sure there's no sales tax, make sure it is for a valid city purchase, stuff like that. So I don't know if that helps answer your question, but for the most part, we do not use this for capital purchases. It's pretty rare that it's used. It's mainly for materials, supplies, and travel.
So could some of those costs be put on a current vendor in some cases? And that current vendor, that cost would just say gas. It would just be it wouldn't detail what the part is, right?
It depends on how it's interfaced from BMO. So that's something with our financial system. Similar to like when you go to a little boutique and you pay with a P card, sometimes it'll have that wonderful SQ in front of it or the IN. So sometimes the way the vendors interface from the credit card process, it does look a little wonky. But yes, we do try to group vendors the best we can. And that's something that if you prefer, we can do a more of a cap on what employees can purchase. That is an option as well for the commission if that's something where, they want to put a limit on, more restriction on what can and cannot be used for. I'm willing to provide options for that as well.
I would just jump in with this. I have heard from a couple of different people, and from piecing together what I've heard, my sense is not so much a transparency issue, but an accessibility issue. Meaning, and I say this with so much love in my heart, but we have a segment of our population, many of whom are roughly my father's age, older, who just do not access information online, right? So then providing those minutes in full in the newspaper just seems like, I'm going to go to our motto, it seems like an exemplary service, right? To just simply say, we're going to make this available for you in this medium that I think we have a large chunk of our taxpayers are looking for it that way.
I would agree on that sentiment. I think it's healthy to have the discussion, to look at the options, to see what, to look at those things. At least when you had called and talked to me, I was one that had mentioned the $2,000 limit, and if it was below that. But I at the time when we were having that discussion, I thought we were going to have this as a discussion, like we were putting something together to bring it forward. I appreciate, Commissioner Hunoff for bringing it forward. I think it's the right thing to do. And I think it's healthy to have the discussion. And I think it's also healthy to sometimes go, no, I think what we're doing, what we're currently doing is the correct. And I think Commissioner Hunoff makes a lot of good points on that. And that's why I think, unless someone is willing, someone can change my mind, through this discussion, which I'm always open to having my mind changed. I probably will be looking to continue what we were doing.
I just want to follow up on the comment that I made. I mean no shade to the older generation. I can get lost on a website in a matter of seconds. It is not necessarily generational. But in this instance, I think asking people to dig into the city website to find the minutes may be a lot to ask in some cases.
I do appreciate you trying to find ways to save the taxpayers' money. That is nice.
And thank you for listening to me as always. I appreciate this guidance, and that's, as a new finance officer, that's what I look forward to.
So when we see the itemized, if we go back to that, it won't tell a person exactly what it was. It was just, they'll see what the amount was, correct? In the newspaper.
If we list every itemized transaction, it will list the description for the item purchased.
But we don't necessarily do that for other areas. And I'm new, so just give me a kind of new. So if we buy something at, I'm trying to find one here, Walmart just says concessions, merchandise. We don't break it down.
We don't, and that most likely helps a lot with seeing what department is purchasing it. So if you see Parks Department concessions, that's probably going to be candy or pop or pizza for the pool. That's most likely what that is. So we try to kind of break down the descriptions as best as we can to save on some of those per word costs, but we try to be as detailed as possible at the same time. So it's kind of a juggling act as well.
Any other discussion from the commissioners? Would anyone from the public like to address? Please introduce yourself. State your name. Thank you.
I don't actually know that. Oh, thank you. Dennis Menke. I'd like to thank the commission for helping with the study of the library to start with. Second, I'd like to thank Commissioner Hunoff. In the P&D, I recently read an article about the Department of Roads in Nebraska. They use the purchasing cards. They have twice as many cards as employees, and in the first real audit this year, they think they have $7 million in fraud. Now, most of that fraud is by normal employees supposed to be filling their diesel truck that they have for the city or state, and they're buying regular gasoline. Now, that's $7 million a year that they just discovered this year. And they've been doing this for like 15 years. So just think a little bit. That is huge numbers. So I would recommend, as a previous businessman and a person that likes numbers, that the city do everything they can to make that as visible to everybody in the reporting in the paper, and that particularly at the level of the city finance officer, that they know how these purchases are really happening. I mean, Nebraska's not that big. 7 million just the first year. They actually do a real audit, and the guy said this is a low number. It's much higher than that, because he said when you actually analyze just 5% of these, big errors, and they're, well, I should say big theft. So I would counsel you to do everything for transparency in the newspaper, and I would counsel the finance officer to really analyze where these purchases are. Now, it's only, what, $100,000 a month, but that turns into $1.2 million this year, and it doesn't seem to be getting smaller every year. It seems to be growing every year. So that's my suggestion.
Gary Wood. Obviously, I'm with the President of Coton. Excuse me here. I appreciate you guys, the commission, wanting to be open and transparent about purchases. And the law is pretty clear in what it states and in detailing those transactions. And so as you move forward, just keeping that in mind, the way the law states, those details need to be published is really much appreciated, not just by us, but by the community. So, thank you.
Would anyone else from the public like to address the commission? Seeing no movement, we do have a motion on the table. Would you mind reading that motion, Lisa?
Yes, Commissioner Hunoff motioned to publish all P-card transactions in the city minutes. Seconded by Commissioner Brunick.
Okay, so we have that motion and a second on the table. Any further discussion from the commission? If none, roll call, please.
Hunoff,
Aye.
Minor, Benson,
Aye.
Brunick,
Aye.
Sarda,
Aye.
Mayor Schrum.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to item number 2 under new business, consideration of memorandum 20 address the commission. Roll call.
Minor,
Aye.
Villanueva,
Aye.
Benson,
Aye.
Brunick,
Aye.
Sarda,
Aye.
Hunoff,
Aye.
Mayor Schrum.
Aye, motion carries. Number 3, consideration of memorandum 24-168 regarding resolution 24-36, funding for the Mead Museum Dakota Territory exhibit. What is the pleasure of the commission?
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the commission? Anyone from the public? Roll call, please.
Villanueva,
Aye.
Benson,
Aye.
Brunick,
Aye.
Sarda,
Aye.
Hunoff,
Aye.
Minor,
Aye.
Mayor Schrum.
Aye, motion carries. Item 4, consideration of memorandum 24-174, recommending that the commission award the annual supply of bulk de-icing salt contract for the 24-25 winter season to Blackstrap Inc. out of Naylor, Nebraska, in the amount of $65.80 per ton. What is the pleasure of the commission?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the commission? Anyone from the public? Roll call, please.
Benson,
Aye.
Brunick,
Aye.
Sarda,
Aye.
Hunoff,
Aye.
Minor,
Aye.
Villanueva,
Aye.
Mayor Schrum.
Aye, motion carries. Item number 5, consideration of memorandum 24-176, recommending that the commission approve wastewater EDA project change order number 3 in the amount of $22,679, increasing the project cost to a total of $9,981,375. What is the pleasure of the commission?
So moved.
Second?
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Anyone from the public? Roll call.
Brunick,
Aye.
Sarda,
Aye.
Hunoff,
Aye.
Minor,
Aye.
Villanueva,
Aye.
Benson,
Aye.
Mayor Schrum.
Aye, motion carries. Item 6, consideration of memorandum 24-177, recommending approval of final payment the water meter installation project be accepted and that the city finance officer be authorized to issue a manual check in the amount of $82,563 to Ferguson Waterworks LLC. What is the pleasure of the commission?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Anyone from the public? Roll call.
Sarda.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Mayor Schram.
Aye, motion carries. Item 7, consideration of memorandum 24-178, recommending that the city commission approve change order number 5, accept the completed construction project for the Mead property development, and authorize the finance officer to issue a manual check to Slowey Construction, Inc. in the amount of $98,695.68.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in, or excuse me, any discussion from the commission? Anyone from the public? Roll call.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Mayor Schram.
Aye, motion carries. Item 8, consideration of memorandum 24-165 regarding the request for a special on-sale liquor license for a special, for a special on-sale liquor license for 3 separate events on the following dates: August 24th, September 7th, and September 14th, all in 2024, from Riverfront Brewery, Inc., 101 East 3rd Street, and the events will all occur at the Meridian venue at 101 East 3rd Street. What is the pleasure of the commission? Excuse me. Yes, what is the pleasure of the commission?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Anyone from the public? Roll call.
Minor.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Mayor Schram.
Aye, motion carries. Item 9, consideration of memorandum 24-166 regarding the request for a special on-sale liquor license for one day, October 19th, 2024, from Riverfront Brewery, Inc. The event will take place at the NFAA Easton Yankton Archery Center. What is the pleasure of the commission?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Anyone from the public? Roll call.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Mayor Schram.
Aye, motion carries. Item 10, consideration of memorandum 24-173 regarding the request for a special on-sale liquor license for one day, September 20th, 2024, from Checkers, Inc., 47 Walnut Street in Yankton. The event will take place at the Ruth Downhill First Dakota Fieldhouse, 1105 West A Street in Yankton. What is the pleasure of the commission?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Anyone from the public? Roll call.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Mayor Schram.
Aye, motion carries. Item 11, consideration of memorandum 24-175 regarding the request for a special on-sale malt beverage retailer's license and special on-sale wine retailer's license for one day, September 19th, 2024, from the Center, 900 Whiting Drive, and the event will take place at the Center. What is the pleasure of the commission?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Anyone from the public? Roll call.
Brunick.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Mayor Schram.
Aye, motion carries. Item 12, consideration memorandum 24-164, recommending that the city commission approve change order number 1 and accept the project and authorize the final payment request for the 2024 cold applied plastic pavement marking installation project, directing the finance officer to issue a manual check in the amount of $60,082.51 to Traffic Solutions, Inc. of Harrisburg, South Dakota. What is the pleasure of the commission?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Anyone from the public? Roll call.
Sarda.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Mayor Schram.
Aye, motion carries. That concludes our new business section of the agenda. Moving on to the other business. We do have no other business on the agenda. Anything from the commissioners? Okay. We're going to then move on to adjourn into executive session to discuss contractual and personnel matters under SDCL 1-25-2. What is the pleasure of the commission? We need a motion and a second to adjourn. Any discussion? No. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned.
But hey, since our fathers taught when they. You on vacation?